Hey folks, Jim Jacobus. Welcome to this week's Take 5. And as always, let me share the message with you. Two things. One, you can do this like it's never been done before. We believe that about you. If nobody else does, I do. Second thing is, we've got to be willing to do the work. This week, we're going to talk about the third principle in the Living Life Large series, and that principle is we've got to have vision. We've got to have something that takes what we do beyond a paycheck, beyond a career, beyond just putting in 9 to 5. This week, we're going to talk about vision. Vision. We define that as realizing what it is we do in the world and why we do it and how it contributes to the world. Something that goes beyond just the paycheck that we receive, just putting in the hours, just the career, something that tells us that we make a difference in this world. I had the good pleasure of speaking to Houston Baptist University a couple of years ago, not too far from where I live on the southwest side of Houston, Texas. And I was really excited because Houston Baptist University is a great university full of wonderful students, very progressive in their area. And I was particularly excited because Dr. Hodo, the president of that university, was a man I'd heard a lot about. Never met him before, heard a lot of wonderful things about him. I was going to get a chance to meet him. I went over to the speaking engagement, to the auditorium there at Houston Baptist University early for that engagement. Walked in the top of that auditorium and looked down front, and Dr. Hodo was down there working on a presentation he was going to do that morning prior to my speaking. When I walked down the steps anxious to meet him, I seen his picture, I knew who he was, I recognized him. And I walked up and I said, "Good morning, Dr. Hodo, how are you?" And he looked up at me and he goes, "Why are you here?" Well, I'd never met him before. I thought he didn't know who I was. I said, "Dr. Hodo, my name is Jim Jacobus. I'm going to be speaking today to the students." And he goes, "Jim, I know who you are. I've seen your picture and everything. Why are you here?" Well, folks, I'm going to tell you, that's a speaker's worst nightmare, all right? That you'd be at a wrong place at the wrong time for a speaking engagement. And I immediately began to get a little nervous. And he goes, "Jim, I apologize." He said, "I know you're here to speak today." He says, "Let me ask you another question." He goes, "What are you doing in my auditorium sucking up air?" I remember thinking, oh no, I didn't know there was going to be a test this morning. And I found out later on, Dr. Hodo does this all the time, by the way. All right. And he saw me kind of twisting in the wind. He said, "Jim, I'm sorry again. It's a bad habit I have." He goes, "I'm just wondering what we're doing on this planet together." And folks, I'm going to tell you what, I've had a lot of people challenge me about ideas of vision and planning and mission and all that kind of stuff. And we teach that to our salespeople and to our sales managers and to our coaching clients and things like that. But I thought that was one of the best questions I'd ever heard. And I'd ask you the same question. Why are you here? What are you here for? Are you here to sell product? Are you here to make margin? Are you here to make a paycheck? Are you here to have a sales career? Are you here to 9 to 5 it or whatever? Is that why you're here? And if that's why you believe you're here, I'm going to tell you, I think in the long run, you're going to wind up short. What I believe we're all here for is to know that we make a difference in this world. To know that as we go through our day-to-day activities, we make a difference in the lives of other people. It's one of the reasons I love sales. I think when done properly, sales is the most honorable profession on the planet. That you and I on a day-to-day basis help connect people and organizations with product and services that allow them to enjoy their business and make money or enjoy life and be more successful. That's what we do. I don't think there's any more honorable profession on the planet. At the end of the day, what we do is we make a difference in the lives of other people. We get clear about what that is and we learn to sell that, then folks, our sales careers are going to be big time fun. Somehow down the road, you and I have to be willing to and able to answer that question Dr. Hodo asked me that day. Why are you here? Right? That's my challenge to you this week. I want you to write down, why are you here? Right? And I want it to go beyond a paycheck, and I want it to go beyond a 9 to 5, and I want it to go beyond a career. Right? And I'm going to tell you this, when I first started trying to answer that question, I couldn't answer it one day. And you may not be able to answer it today. You may not be able to answer it this week. You may not be able to answer it this year. But I want you to be in constant pursuit of that question, why are you here? And what is it that you do that makes a difference in this world? Thanks for joining me on this week's Take 5. We'll see you next week.